Okay, we're here. Welcome to the May 10th, 2018 meeting of the Sherborn Board of Selectmen. And we'll ask our town administrator if he could read through the agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, we'll have a period of public comment, and there's one person signed up. The first item is reorganization of the Board of Selectmen, and then consideration of consent agenda with payroll warrant and setting the next meeting date of May 24th. Consideration of appointments, a joint appointment of John Dowse to the Tri-County Vocational Technical School Committee with the moderator, chair of school committee, and board of selectmen. And then appointment of Carol Rubenstein as registrar at the request of town clerk Carol Marple. And consideration of financial matters, proposed short-term borrowing with Heidi Doyle, treasurer. Authorize Board of Selectmen to petition the general court regarding 2018 annual town meeting, Article 15, removal of elected financial officials, and then proposed formation of Housing Trust Committee with Grace Shepherd. The next item is library expansion construction project financial update with Sharon McPherson, the finance director and accountant. And then under routine business, we have town administrator report with several items, and then selectmen reports. And then adjourn to executive session, not to return to open session under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21(3), to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the town, and the chair so declares. Library.
Okay, very good. Any amendments to that agenda? Okay, all in favor? I guess we need a motion first.
So moved.
Motion, Paul, moved to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? The agenda has passed. Okay, Nancy, you are our one public comment tonight.
I have been warned to stay 10 inches from the microphone, so I shall try to do that. I've often found the occasion to comment regarding various issues to do with the property next door. I was recently asked if the Campus Extension Committee hadn't sunsetted, as if I should no longer be passionately attached to its future. I would like to explain. As one of many who stood before the voters and urged them to support taking advantage of an opportunity that might never come again, and to go ahead and purchase the adjacent property, even though advisory recommended against it, I took seriously the promises made to both the voters and to the neighbors that the town would be a good steward of this treasure. The taxpayers funded $500,000 to purchase, remove the structures, decommission the wells, dispose of the septic and other environmental hazards, and then in addition to that and all the CM&D help, it became a community project in the best sense of the word. The kids from the high school athletic team came and removed all the fencing that was as much a symbolic separation as a real barrier. The Girl Scouts cleared brush. Skip Smith brought his equipment to help repair and seed the landscape and open the stone wall. Pat Teddy brought his crew to rebuild the roadside when the driveway was removed so we could stop the erosion. Arborist Dick Stoner came and counseled us on the care of the trees, which should stay, which should go, and how to care for the beautiful beach that makes the other bookend from the library beach. The woodcutter group helped clear the small wood and bushes separating the two parts of the campus. Robert Johnson single-handedly removed many of the vines strangling the otherwise healthy trees. Susie Tyler removed the garlic mustard invasives. The garden clubs removed the good plants so they wouldn't be ruined when the house came down, then donated bulbs, and Melissa Bowman planted them so we could carry forward the daffodil theme. As an Arbor Day project, Stumpy's chose to help us by giving thousands of dollars worth of dead and dying tree removal along the property line. Thursday Campbell spent hours inventorying the property and using her design expertise to help us with a plan. Conrad Ludwig did his Eagle Scout project, planting pachysandra to protect the roots of the beach and carried water to it until it took root. The Sherborn businessmen funded a grant to get a doggy station. Rich Littlefield did some engineering to explore another entrance, and we had offers for a gazebo and for a beautiful stone bench. Many people donated time and material. Thanks to them and others, the property became a monument to the efforts of a broad representation of the community to transform it from a private home to a welcoming place for the public, and demonstrated the town can be the good stewards and good neighbors as promised. I am committed to that effort, hence so much to say, and I appreciate the opportunity to explain.
Okay, thanks, Nancy. Very good. All right, the next item is to reorganize the Board of Selectmen, so we elect a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk. And I would like to start by nominating Chuck Yan to be the chair of the Board of Selectmen for the next year.
Second.
I moved and seconded. Do we have anybody else nominated? Okay, all in favor of Chuck? You're opposed, Chuck? Okay. Very good. Good, I'm handing over the gavel.
There's some trepidation.
Here, come on, come sit in the middle.
Oh, no, we're
Are you
good.
kidding? Really? You
Yeah.
want to sit in the end? I still have to sit in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrific. Any nominations for vice chair? I'll nominate Mike Giamo as vice chair.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? All in favor? Clerk. Any nominations for clerk?
How about George?
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? All in favor? Great.
There we go. It's good, Chuck. You got through the first item. I think this is going to be a good year.
Well, we actually started on time, but you get to take credit for that. I take this on with some trepidation because Mike has done such a terrific job for the last 4 years. It's at least 4 years, and there are some mighty big shoes to fill. So this board has been well run, and we all owe on the board a debt of gratitude to Mike, and the town does as well. So thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. The next item on the agenda is the meeting calendar. Does May 24th at 7 PM work for everyone?
Does for me.
I think so.
I will not be there, but I'm not needed anymore, so that's fine.
Needed more than
Works for
ever.
me. Sounds good.
Dave, is there anything really substantive where it would be better to have Mike here if possible?
We have that emergency management with the police chief, fire chief, and CM&D scheduled for that night.
Would you like to?
I trust you guys on that. I think that would be something that's
Okay.
fine. I have a college graduation to go to, so I just can't make it.
A little more important.
I think that's the most substantive, time-consuming
Terrific.
item on there.
Okay, why don't we meet on the 24th then? Item 3 on the agenda is the joint appointment of John Dowse to the Tri-County Vocational Technical School Committee.
Did we do the payroll warrant and the meeting calendar?
What's that, I'm sorry?
The
payroll
consent
warrant?
agenda under
Oh,
number
right.
2.
That's on the consent agenda. We need to approve the payroll warrant. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. I think you're going to be doing that a lot, Paul. Please jump in.
Just kick me whenever you need me.
No. Okay, David, you want to walk us through the John Dowse appointment?
Yeah, John Dowse has served on the Tri-County Vocational Technical School Committee. I don't think he's here. He's served on it for years, and his family has been very involved in the Voc school. I think right now we only have one, if any, students there right now. But this requires to appoint John Dowse, it requires a joint appointment of the moderator and the chair of the school committee and the Board of Selectmen.
The chair.
Chair of the Board of Selectmen, I'm sorry. And we have them here. We have the moderator, chair of the school committee.
Chair of the school committee.
Water, she's not here yet?
Not here.
No, she's not here yet. She knows, she's coming.
Well, you
Have
have
to
2 out
hold
of
on
3.
to it.
Well, it would, 2 out of 3 is a majority, right?
It looks like it's set up for a vote by the board. I would move to appoint John Dowse to the Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical School for a term to expire on June 30th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. I had a discussion with John at, before town meeting about this. They're doing some really impressive things at this school. He's a real cheerleader and a proponent of the school, and anybody who wonders what they do should take John aside and ask him. Oh, here he is. You think he could talk for a couple minutes just about the school?
When I was getting my chain sharpened today, John and I were talking about
Yeah.
this, so I was...
Do you think we could have a couple-minute advertisement for the school
Yeah.
here?
Sure.
Fine.
You ready for me?
We are.
That'd be good, yeah.
There's Kate, too. So there's Kate the other person.
Oh, perfect.
All right, well, thank you for reconsidering me for another term at Tri-County. Town of Sherborn's very lucky to be a part of this school. We have a lot of great and wonderful things that are going on at the school. I just wish we had more Sherborn students going to it. In the fall, I'm going to request some time before you. We have a capital budget improvement plan for Tri-County that we want to get out to our communities and make them aware of it. It's going to require a special town meeting, not special town meeting, but just a special election that Tri-County will be paying for, and I'll have more details later in the year. But I really encourage for parents of 8th graders and kids in the junior high to take the opportunity to go over, look at the school. I encourage some of the parents to take a look at the school. If you're ever in the Franklin area during the school year, they have an excellent restaurant. The students handle all aspects of it and do a great job, so.
Great. Terrific, thank you.
If I could, just wanted to thank you for all the years of service that you've put there. I also know from the work that I do elsewhere that most of the vocational schools are doing capital projects. Many of them haven't been updated in many years, and I know the School Building Assistance Bureau is stepping in on the vocational school front to provide assistance. So since I haven't heard of any major projects being done at Tri-County for a while, I think they're probably due for some overhaul.
We've been very fortunate. We actually just celebrated our 40th anniversary. Tri-County opened up in the fall of 1977. I was actually one of the lucky few to actually walk through the doors that day. Second graduating class of the school, first class to go all 4 years. Part of our problems that we're having, we have a very good plant engineer. We've been very blessed to have someone that stays on top of our physical plant. As I said, we've got a 40-year-old school. As you know, certain things are coming up. What we run into is that our plant engineer does such a good job of maintaining the school that we get put to the bottom because the school looks great. It's in excellent shape. Franklin just rebuilt their high school, and there was a lot of comparison between Tri-County and Franklin. They were trying to figure out why Franklin needed a new high school and Tri-County was doing fine. And they were both the same age. So to our downfall, we do keep on applying for the SBA money, school building assistance, and we keep on getting waitlisted because the other schools are at a higher need than Tri-County. So by taking care of our school, we're paying a price. So.
That's
All right.
great. I knew that Keith Tech had a student-run restaurant. I didn't realize that Tri-County did as well.
They do. They also have a hair salon. And the students at Tri-County have actually done multiple projects in the town. There's a maintenance truck that CM&D has, which was one of the old fire department trucks. Tri-County shop painted the truck that Warren uses as his maintenance truck. Gave it a second life within the town. The snow blower that Ed had, the Tri-County students painted that. They've also built a couple of the sheds down at the transfer station. Your table here, I had them tighten that up 2 or 3 years ago.
That's right, yeah.
So,
Terrific.
Yep.
Thanks, John. Thanks for your service.
Ms. Potter's here now, as chair of the
Potter's
board.
there from the school committee.
She walked in while we were.
We didn't vote on your motion.
Yeah, let's take a vote on the motion. All in favor? And I think we just got the moderator's approval as well. And it requires the approval of the chair.
Yep.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the appointment of a registrar, a member of the Board of Registrar. Dave, you want to walk us through that one?
The Board of Registrars, basically each year, I think it's by party, the town clerk has to contact each of the parties to put names forward.
Yeah, this is the Democratic.
And this
one.
is the Democratic one that's being appointed by Carol, and the appointee is Carol Rubenstein, who we've all had interactions and know well before from her service with the Recycling Committee. And she's also volunteered on elections and town meeting.
And she's been the registrar, right? It's her term that's expiring.
Yes.
Terrific. Well, I would move to appoint Carol S. Rubenstein as a registrar of voters
Second,
for a new term to expire April 1st, 2021.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Terrific. Okay, next is collection of financial matters. Heidi, do you want to walk us through the proposed short-term borrowing?
So this is new procedure for me, and please help me along and let me know what you'd like to see. But one of the items we did not put into the long-term bond were the 2 police vehicles because of age and how it was worded. So we want to do a short-term borrowing, a ban for those items. It's a total of $85,000 or up to $85,000. Like to get that done before the end of this fiscal year. It's a much easier process than going through a long-term bond, but I think I need to come to you to ask for a motion to proceed. If it's something different, let me know. I'd be happy to.
So I moved that we approve your going out for
Ban funding.
some magic words I'm supposed to say.
I wrote it out.
I move that the treasurer be authorized to proceed with securing bond anticipation note funding for the police vehicles approved at the Sherborn Town Meeting of April 25, 2017.
Second.
Just was wondering, is that, would you roll this into longer-term debt at a later point, or is the idea to pay this off in a couple of years?
I think I'm going to do a 3-year and just pay off a little bit each. I don't think it's at this point worthwhile putting into a
That's
long-term
what I was
one.
wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But I will be having to go after another short-term bond for the next fiscal year, FY19. So we'll be back for that one, but probably, I don't know if I'll make the May 24th meeting, but it might be your next meeting after that to have a signing of the ban note, get that done and get the bids and get on your agenda for signing.
Right.
I had one question. Like, what's the interest on a note versus the long-term bond?
The long-term bond we just went out for, it averaged out to 2.7, it was just under 3%. The bands are like 1.75 maybe right now, the short-term ones.
Okay.
But you have a much higher cost to go out for the long-term one. That was $55,000 to go through, versus it'll probably be a couple hundred for the band.
Terrific. Any other questions or discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Terrific.
Okay, is this the procedure you'd like, that if anytime I go for short-term, come before as a motion to do?
I think so.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Heidi. Okay, the next item is to file a proposal to file a petition on Article 15, voted at the most recent annual town meeting regarding the removal of elected financial officials. Dave, you want to walk us through this one?
This is to authorize, at the annual town meeting, there was a vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to petition the general court under Article 15, removal of elected financial officials. There's a draft letter in here to David Linsky to reaffirm that vote. So there would need to be a motion that's moved to send a letter to Representative David Linsky asking him to petition the general court on behalf of the town of Sherborn. And this letter is basically the standard letter we've used in the past.
And this includes the amendment that Robert Johnson put forward, that had passed.
This came from the clerk's office
Yeah, here it is. Yep, it's on the,
on this one.
So can I suggest a friendly amendment? This letter only goes to David Linsky. He's a member of the House of Representatives, so we also have a senator.
Senator Ross.
We should also send it to Richard Ross, so that both of them can work in tandem. There are two houses of the general court.
Okay.
Okay.
perfect. I actually don't think it requires an amendment because we don't have a motion yet. You want to make a motion to?
Yeah, I move that we send letters to Senator Ross and Representative Linsky requesting the general court enact special legislation for the town as voted by the town in Article 15 of the annual town meeting.
Terrific. I'll second the motion. Discussion? This requires John Doe from all five of us, just so you know. There'll be something for you to sign. All in favor?
You have the paper right there, Chuck. There's a folder.
Chuck, we're gonna sign this, but we don't have one for Richard Ross unless
Right.
there's another, I know there were
No,
two
there
letters
isn't,
in
but I
there.
can just go down and type up another one.
All right, so the two letters in there were just copies of the same
Yeah,
thing?
so you want me
Okay.
to go down and do one for Ross and then bring it back
At
up?
some point, we gotta
Yeah,
sign it
I'll
later
do it right
tonight.
You could just
Terrific. The next item on the agenda is the proposed formation of the Housing Trust Committee. I know that Grace had presented a warrant article at an earlier Board of Selectmen meeting. Grace, you want to walk us through some of the ideas that?
So I don't think you need to sign it. I don't know why that sticker is on this one.
I love it. 10 inches, huh?
Oh, really?
Thank you all very much for exploring this with me tonight. When I came before you before, we thought it would be an article, and you graciously all said you thought it was a very interesting idea, and you could probably just appoint a study committee yourselves, which I would welcome. The thoughts that we had for this committee
Just a full.
was for them to study the usefulness of a Sherborn Housing Trust. So we're one step away from totally recommending it. Our reasons for wanting to explore this was to explore options for creating a 501c3 nonprofit Sherborn Housing Trust, to work closely with the Sherborn Housing Partnership, and to explore possible links to existing land trusts. Also to do some research and see how any other non-CPA town has managed to accumulate resources, receive gifts of money or land. Seek to help the town move from safe harbor regarding the 40B affordable housing to 10%, and seek to help the town respond in the longer term to the impact of new census numbers and to therefore reach or stay at 10%. And we really think of this as something which will be a little bit more creative and entrepreneurial and long-term thinking, but working closely with the Housing Partnership, which does exist, and they should probably work a plan together, each doing what is best for their particular role, but having common goals.
Could I suggest a couple of things just procedurally, I guess,
Yes.
because I'm the longest-serving member here. Normally, when we create a committee, the first thing we do is put together a charge. And there are the makings of the charge here and all the ideas that you've listed. It just needs to be in a paragraph sentence that we can vote.
I thought I'd give you all the bits and pieces, and then if you like it, I'll be happy to put it in a neat
It
paragraph.
sounded good to me. And then, number two, do you have any champions who are eager to get on this committee, or?
I haven't explored it. This grew out of an SOS meeting or two or three, and there were very positive response to the idea, but we haven't made a list. The fact that this is going out to the town now, yes, and we can try to help, and I know there's been a very good process initiated at the Board of Selectmen, because I got emails that said we're looking for people, and so for other committees. So I know your office is working in a very smooth, creative way to get people in town to know there are options out there for them to get involved.
Well, just to carry this forward, not to be asking for people by name, but more by position. I mean, is your concept of this that there'd be a member of the planning board, a member of the Board of Selectmen, a member of the housing partnership? I mean, I'm just throwing this out.
Those are all
thought of
very interesting possibilities, and the one that comes to my mind, is that the housing partnership was put together hurriedly and worked beautifully very quickly to get a housing production plan. But their motivation was that they were faced with all the 40Bs coming into town. And I think we're thinking about people who take a longer term and more entrepreneurial kind of view of what the town itself can think about and try to do to meet housing needs. Not quite as narrowly focused, perhaps. So entrepreneurial and long-term thinkers is the first things that come to my mind. But I think your list of potentially having committee members in town be on it is probably a very good idea, too. So it'll be part of a discussion that will take place, and I'll get back to you with a paragraph including such suggestions.
Grace, have you given any thought to how large the committee, the ideal size for the committee would be?
I think 5's more than enough. Could be less, could be 3, but I think 5.
And other towns, as I recall, Lincoln has is not using a committee of this type, that they have a more formalized structure. But have you looked at what other towns have, committees, their housing partnership committees have, their typical size?
Yeah, but this isn't going to be the housing partnership.
I'm sorry, housing trust,
Yeah, I found that, just looking rather quickly, that Sudbury has a housing trust, Belmont has a housing trust, I'm sure others do out there, and yes, it would be a good idea to do a little more research if you'd like.
If I recall, this came up in the town before.
I'm sorry?
The issue of having a housing trust came up before here in Sherborn,
We had one, yes.
and I believe it was defeated maybe at the recommendation of advisory some time ago, because of the concern that it would be independent of everybody else and therefore not coordinated and not working with everybody else. So with that history here in the town, I think people are going to want to know what improvements will this group come up with that would overcome the objections. So somewhere there are some minutes.
I have some material from them. I have a copy of the original article at town meeting and their own original purposes and such like that. Let me say that I cannot imagine any group that's put together, if the committee that you are potentially going to appoint thinks this is a good idea, I cannot think of any group that they would recommend to create formal housing trust that would have enough power financially to start doing things in the town without the town knowing about it. It's just not in the cards. There is no steady income stream the way there once potentially was, which is the objection in many places to a housing trust, is because it's linked directly to an income stream and they feel that they're going to not have enough control over it. This is a little, different than that because we don't have that.
I think we're really good in Sherborn at saying no or saying we can't do things or it's too complicated or we thought about it before and it wasn't going to work out. I think Grace has presented this as an entrepreneurial effort where people are going to try to come up with new ideas and ways to get things done. I think we should at least give them a chance to come up with ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Mike. Thank you for saying it better.
Any other suggestions on what we would look for in terms of a more detailed proposal? George or Eric? I don't.
Jeff has an idea.
Jeff has it, yeah.
Jeff Morgan, Surrey Lane. I just want to mention that I'm on Land Acquisition Committee also, so I think you might want to talk to them. We've actually had people present housing trusts to us, and we created a database of all the large properties, kind of done a detailed analysis of all the properties over 20 acres. I've done zero work, including Mary Ann and Frank Jenkins and others have done most of the work. And now they're analyzing the 10 to 20 acre properties. And so they've got detailed information on each piece of property, drawings and pictures and all that kind of thing. Maybe useful. I mean, I support what you're doing, but maybe a useful starting point. And their next meeting is the 22nd of May.
And one of the people that is on it is going to be at the meeting that SOS holds tomorrow morning. Yes, so there's a definite link there. A definite link in preserving the town. Yeah. Good.
I've done some of the work too.
Okay, but you're right. Lands that are potentially in play. Yeah.
And in that meeting, of course, George Fisk's group engages to actually be a constructive part of it as well, and this could be something similar to that interest from.
So I think the feedback is positive, that
Good.
this looks good, so my sense is that if you would prepare a formal charge for the committee and
Okay.
a suggested structure,
Okay.
and put down
Charge.
5 members as the proposed number.
You want some sense of what kind of skills,
Yes.
okay, or potential.
committees or-
potential members.
of boards
And
that can-
a charge, and I will get that to you. Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Grace. Terrific. Sharon, the next item on the agenda is the financial update for the library expansion.
Okay, so as of May 10th, available funds are still at $8,709,000, and we have actually paid out $4.4 million, so we're at about a 50% burn rate at this point. The front sheet just lists all of the expenses by vendor, and it also lists the available receipts and where the money's coming, with almost 3.8 million provided through donation, through gifts through the town, which is through the library, which is a wonderful fundraising effort. For the month of May, spending was only at $247,000, and the projected burn rate was $958. So as you can see, it was much slower than anticipated. For May, it's off to a good start. Things are really busy, and we have a $316,000 invoice that's being processed. Projections for this month are at almost 1.4 million, and it seems to be quite busy. So that's really all I have to talk about. Any questions?
Just one?
Yeah, sure.
You said that we were at a 50% burn rate. Is that on the cash side, or is that on the project side? Are we
Cash.
50?
We've spent 50% of what the original project amount was.
And are we at 50% of the project?
Okay.
Terrific. This is a regular item on the agenda. It's informational, does not require any vote, but it's an opportunity for us to ask questions. Any questions from the board?
And kind of to Paul's point, so more or less, when the pay recs come in, the unit quantities are pretty much what's been expected. It doesn't look like we're gonna overrun anything on that.
Not yet. That's all I know.
It's on target.
Terrific, okay. The next item on the agenda is town administrator and selectmen reports.
I have a few items. Police Chief Thompson, Fire Chief Kinney, CM&D Director Sean Colleen, and I all attended an Eversource Emergency Management Conference this past Monday. It was very informative, and they are all planning to come in on the 24th meeting and talk about emergency management. We talked about this a month ago, and so we're just getting that scheduled. So that'll be at the next meeting. For Dover Sherborn High School graduation, I had some dates for you if you wanted to look at those. We need a speaker.
Any volunteers I've done it the last 2 years? I don't think the kids want to hear my jokes anymore.
Well, I've done it.
graduating, so let's make it good.
Did she just volunteer?
Any of you would be great.
I've done it a lot of times over the time I've been on the board. I mean, if nobody else wants to do it, I would do it, but I would rather somebody else have the
I can do it.
experience. Great.
I can do it.
So this is at the commencement on June 7th,
June 7th, okay. Should probably
6
put that in my
p.m.
calendar.
You talking about the library project and the funding for that? Is that the topic?
I don't think so.
Terrific, thanks, George.
I did it 3 years ago. So.
I'm going to email the board a proposed calendar of meeting dates for the summer, that you can look at your schedule and try to bring those back for the next meeting, so that we can maybe set the meetings for the summer as far as we can, at least. There's an award notice that came out from Mass DEP about Pine Hill School in Woodhaven. And Mass DEP announced winners of 2018 Public Water System Awards. If you want more information on that, we can distribute it. But Pine Hill School and Woodhaven each received awards under that.
Unfortunately, there's no check.
There's no check. Just a cup of water. The last thing was, we have Sean Colleen, CM&D Director, here just to give a little bit of an update on CM&D and paving, but you need to go to the microphone.
I don't have much of an update because spring is running a little bit into summer at the moment. But I do want to let the board know that probably prior to your next meeting, we're already going to start grinding a couple of roads. We don't have the full year's schedule because everyone's running behind on getting prices. But one project we wanted to do was Sawin Street. We're trying to stay ahead of the library construction because we need to basically close Sawin Street for a day or two, which affects the police station. So we're going to reclaim that completely. We're also going to do Cemetery Lane, which is nearly turned into a dirt road. There's a lot of traffic down there in the spring and summer, so we're going to grind that. And a small piece in front of Sicko that ended up being a sinkhole during one of the storms. Sorry. So those are all going to get paid right before Memorial Day. If we couldn't have planned it any better, we're going to try not to disrupt the activities in the cemetery too much, but we should be, hopefully you'll be walking on new pavement, at least the binder course before for the Memorial Day parade.
Sean, Cemetery Lane up to what point?
The cemetery.
Well,
From the gate. No,
the gate.
no, we're not doing that project, but we're,
Okay, that's
the lower portion has never been redone since all the drainage work was done, the hydrant work was done in the 90s. The whole thing needs to get regraded because it doesn't drain right.
Okay, Sawin Street and,
The entire length of Sawin and the piece in front of Sicko that's turned into a big sinkhole, which is actually the old historic Route 27 roadbed.
don't say historic, just say old.
Paul can appreciate the historic Route 27 because he owns the other roadbed in his front yard.
So Sean, on Sawin, is there going to be heavy truck traffic with the library project going forward? I mean, does it make sense to do it now?
There better not be.
Okay.
We can't wait. The road, we can't patch the road anymore. It's beyond.
No, I drove it the other day and thought the same thing, but I also am concerned where
Yeah.
we're going to pave something and then have, if we're going to pave something and then have a lot of big trucks running through it for that library project.
No, the heavy trucks really aren't going down Sawin. I mean, there's a lot of heavy truck traffic on Sawin, hence the need to.
No, understood.
To keep it up.
But we're not, it's not an unusual circumstance, okay.
No, not really. It's just, I mean, we're gonna end up replacing cruiser tires because we haven't fixed the potholes. We can't even keep up with them.
Yeah, no.
On a short stretch of
Saw
road.
some of that, yeah.
And-
Obviously, the more notice we can give or one thing we learned from the Sanger Street experience was the more notice we can give about the closing, the better.
You got it. There's your notice. No, well, I'll be honest with you. As this year goes, we try to get some signboards. I'm sure Eric knows, NERAC has a plethora of equipment that's normally at the Framingham DPW, and we usually can get our hands on just about anything. Well, we tried to get signboards a week ago to start notifying of several different things, and all 25 of them were scattered out throughout Framingham because they're starting their yard debris cleanup this week. So there wasn't a signboard to be had in this area. Normally, we can just go over and grab them the day we need them. But we'll be notifying everyone because we're going to close Sawin Street for at least a day, might be 2.
Should you put signboards in next year's budget?
We only have to rent them. They're $10 a day, or nothing.
Right.
If Framingham will give us something up. Speaking of cleanup, if anyone's noticed, we're still cleaning up the road debris from the storms. We do it nearly every day. We have to take some breaks because kids want to play on the ball fields. We need to start sweeping streets with the sweeper that keeps breaking. But it's still ongoing. It's been quite the taxing event for the past several months, and it still goes. We're almost done. And I'm going to take a shameless plug for the group that's in here. The library fair is this weekend. We're going to help them set up tomorrow, but it's down at Jameson Field, and it's sure to be a nice event. It's going to be a nice weekend, I hope. That's all I got.
Most likely going to rain on Saturday, but that's typical, right, Mayor?
It's supposed to.
You always know when.
Has there ever been a year that it hasn't rained?
John, what's the lead time on the new sweeper? How long does it take?
It's a couple weeks out. It's quicker than the funding, apparently. We've checked with DOR, and but we should have it. We could have it before July 1st. It's not in stock because we don't have fire hydrants in town. We need extra large water tanks and everything else. We have a sweeper. It's got a pretty high maintenance cost to keep it running at the moment.
Because it's borrowed funds, we can spend it immediately. You don't have to wait the start of a new fiscal year.
Well, that's debatable.
It's okay.
But we don't. It's also not in stock. It's probably going to come in about the same time as we could actually get the funding kicked off.
I think you can actually do it. You just can't pay off the first issue in the bond until the next fiscal year. But you can actually purchase something with a bond.
We're gonna be good as soon as it's ready. We can
Right.
take it.
Did Chapter 90 or town funds for the paving, or a mixture or two?
Town funds.
The paving I referred to,
Yeah.
those are not going to be Chapter 90. 2 of those would not qualify for Chapter 90.
That's what I was wondering,
So
cemetery lane.
I lumped it together as basically a day's work of the grinder, and probably we're going to use PJ Keating, who got this year's bid for the paving, but it's kind of a hop skitch through downtown. Same people will be doing. We're probably going to do 115. Well, we're definitely going to do Route 115 and some other jobs. But this was, and we have some funds. Normally we wouldn't have the funds, but we still have some capital funds outside of Chapter 90 to do those.
That's
Cemetery
exactly.
Lane wouldn't qualify.
Yeah, because it's not a public way. That's what I was
Right.
wondering.
I was going to ask you, but I think you just answered it. Had you identified the paving projects for your Chapter 90 money this year? You said 115 is...
And I haven't, but I haven't identified them well enough to present them, because the pricing hasn't come back. I mean, we could have figured out 115, but we don't have enough of the pricing back to figure out what other neighborhood roads. There's a piece of old orchard that's turning into a dirt road. We've basically plowed the road into people's yards all winter. There's some others, but we have to weigh out what we have left after the couple large projects. 115 has to be done because we can save it before we have to grind it. So I'll have a better presentation for that, and maybe probably the next meeting.
Perfect. Anything further? Thanks, Sean. Any selectmen reports?
Yeah, I do. So Governor Baker issued an executive order on age-friendly communities in Massachusetts, and the Secretary of Elder Affairs for the Commonwealth has asked me to pitch their program to Sherborn. They've signed up about 100 communities, but Sherborn is not on the list of these communities. The idea behind the program is to implement a series of best practices that would assist elder citizens of the town. They are best practices that are developed in coordination with AARP, which is Association of American Association of Retired Persons. Yes, thank you.
Not that I would know what they is.
I do.
So AARP plus state employees have put together this program. As I say, 100 communities have signed up and are going to be designated age-friendly communities. That sets the stage for some funding that will come eventually to help with these programs. A second piece of this is dementia-friendly communities, and they have been working with various medical professionals to put together, again, programs for every community to assist communities in developing programs to make our seniors and those having various medical issues comfortable staying in place in their communities and finding safe environments for them and so on. So they've been developing all kinds of what they call best practices, which they would like to see the town of Sherborn adopt. So there is a little booklet here that they asked me to give the town, and it has about 100 communities that have signed up for this, but Sherborn is not on the list yet. They'd like to add Sherborn to this list. So I mention all this because all of us are getting older, and this is a program that might benefit not just those who are seniors now, but for years to come. So I'd like to turn that over to the town administrator, and hopefully we can take advantage of some state money.
This doesn't strike me as something where does it make sense to have COA review this?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to suggest, that Karen,
Oh, I
like,
will.
the Council on Aging.
I'll consult with her and
Right.
her board, yeah.
Any other selectmen's reports? I have a very brief one. We all want to welcome Eric to the board. I was really impressed. The candidates night for the two contested races were just terrific, and both Eric and Frank ran a very positive, upbeat campaign, so kudos to both of them. There were no questioning of people's motives or qualifications, and so congratulations to Eric and to Frank, and it's wonderful to have multiple people willing to volunteer and serve the town, so welcome aboard, Eric.
Thank you.
Can I just add to that we had 5 ballot questions? All 5 passed. So we're getting the new sweeper for Sean. We got the fire trucks. We have the work to be done at the regional schools. We have the work to be done at Pine Hill. So everything the advisory had recommended, the voters agreed. So thank you to advisory, thank you to the voters.
Terrific. Anything else? The last item on the agenda is the board will now consider entering into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, parens 3, to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the town and the chair so declares regarding the library. I so declare the board will not return to open session. I need a second.
Second.
And a roll call vote. Mr. Durensis.
Aye.
Mr. Morrell.
Aye.
Mr. Giammo.
Aye.
Mr. Yan, aye. Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Great. Having passed by a vote of 5-0, the open session is closed, and we are now in executive session.
They've got to put themselves in the executive session, too.
Follow your motion. Copy what you just said for the library trustees. And ask for a roll call vote to the library trustees. Mary Moore, aye.
Brian Conley, aye. James Murphy, aye.
Jennifer Carroll, aye. Christina Allen, aye.
Mike Roush, aye.
And then I think the LBC, we have done. I think you guys need to do the same.
So library building committee members in favor of executive session?
Olivia Yan, aye.
Adam Page, aye.
Mark Brown, aye. Richard Littlefield, aye.
Jeff?
Chuck, I don't sit on any committees, but I've been an advisory representative to the library for trustees, so my wife was kind enough to sit through the executive session.
That certainly makes
Makes some
sense.
Yes, please, yes.
No, I assume there's no objection? Great.
We've invited our OPM downstairs. She's on that.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Johnson, library.
Terrific. We're now in executive session.